All right, The Evil Genius of 616 in LA by Casavelli. I saw a video by Casavelli. The reaction is on the channel. I throw it in the end card. I think it was the moment that Kendrick Lamar passed J. Cole. Great video. So I was very, very talkative, very chatty patty, you know, because a lot of that story that he was covering, I was seeing in real time growing up, you know, looking up to them as a young youth. So I had a lot to say. And I was pretty much present for The Evil Genius of 616 in LA, but I'm going to let Casavelli do his thing. And I'm just going to save my comments until the end. Just watch it all the way through. And we'll just watch it together. And if you still stick through to the end of the video, I'll give my thoughts. But yeah, I like the brother. Great perspective. Edits really well. Story tells really well. It's going to be a great video. I already know. Just prejudging it, it's probably going to be a good video. Oh, I'm Steela, by the way. Nice to meet you.
616 wasn't just a diss record. It was Kendrick Lamar's battle cry. One of Kendrick's biggest strengths when it comes to rap battling is just his sheer ability to drastically change the tone of the entire battle. When he drops Euphoria, he turns the battle into a lunchroom roast session and has everyone dying of laughter. When he drops Meet the Grounds, the audience is disturbed and are starting to have second thoughts about the reality of what a rap battle really means. When he drops Not Like Us, it's an anthemic regional celebration. America is crip walking. It's like he's changing the terrain of the battlefield to fit whatever he wants to get off. And Drake simply cannot keep up. Kendrick was controlling the atmosphere of this battle the entire time, while Drake was just reacting to it. And that's exactly what makes 616 such an effective record. The battle starting with Like That and then going into push-ups to eventually Euphoria. Everything from there on was just juvenile jokes. You wore a size 7 shoe. You and Sexy Red, two bad bitches. But the moment 616 dropped, everyone immediately sobered up. No more games. Like Kendrick was telling us that he's done with these lunch table jokes, and he's dead ass serious now. 616 in LA is psychological warfare displayed at its finest. To emphasize how drastic the tone changes from Euphoria, on one song he's making car noises, and on the other, he's talking directly to God like he's some kind of holy knight, bringing up his deceased grandmother, talking about looking in the mirror and discovering himself for the first time. God, my confession is yours, but who am I if I don't go to war? There's opportunity when living with loss. I discover myself when I fall short. Kendrick low-key gave niggas a whole mantra to live by in 2024. And then he follows it up with some crazy metaphor about living in the circadian rhythms of a shooting star and compares himself to the biblical archangel.
Send his ass back to the cosmics, like he said on Whips and Chains.
Raphael, and how he set his sights on destroying the industry. He made this a spiritual record. 616 may as well have been a part of the Heart series. This is also where he would really start to insert morality into the battle, like it was more than just a personal thing. Like, Drake, you're a bad person, and I hate bad people. Do you know what I do to bad people? Out of all the diss tracks, 616 has the least damaging disses. He only called this man a terrible person. And it still felt like it hurt.
Because it felt like you still have time to back out of this. If you're listening, Drake, you still have time to really halt this. But he already had Family Matters in the tuck. And he was like, stay on stream. I got the red button. But 616 in LA was the most... Actually, Euphoria is probably the most scathing warning shot in hip-hop history. But I think 616 in LA was like a second chance. Like, Drake, I'm giving you another opportunity, bro. Like... I'm giving you, like, I know what you're going to do, and I'm trying to tell you it's not going to be great for you if you do that move. And he did it anyways.
Or at least on the surface. The most overlooked aspect of 616 is Kendrick's brilliant method of double speaking to both Drake and the audience. In the previous track, Euphoria, Kendrick is warning Drake not to go there. And 616 is him speaking directly to Drake about what he means by taking it further. To the listener, it just sounds like high-class luxury rap bars. But to Drake, it's a subtle nod and wink. Kendrick is making these references of yacht parties, mentioning wine coolers being spilled, KTW, and very particular things that he knows only Drake would know.
Girl had like a vodka cranberry or something in her hand, and she tripped and fell and spilled all over Drake, like all over his like white sweatsuit.
Leave me alone! Popeye's wing.
Choose kindness. Choose kindness. We're gonna skip this ad. The ads are on because I like to see the content creators get paid. You know what I mean? Can't just eat off they hard work. Gotta let it play. All right, back into it.
Psychological warfare. He does all this to get into Drake's head. Why? Well, here's the whole plot twist. The opening verse is Kendrick rapping from Drake's perspective. It's so brilliantly done because the audience remained virtually clueless about this layer of the song until observations weeks later. There are possibly still references and layers that the audience still doesn't get, and maybe we never will. 616 isn't for us to get. 616 is for Drake to get. But perhaps the biggest plot twist of this song is the "Have you ever thought that OVO was working for me?"
Are you finally ready to play? Have you ever, let's see, have you ever thought that OVO was working for me?
Kendrick is playing cerebral mind games with
Which is the out of the Pusha T playbook. Like the rumor that 40 was the one that dimed out that information. Now, it may have been a rumor, may not have been true. He probably confirmed that or say it was some bullshit. However he got it in a way that was not supposed to be done. I think maybe if it wasn't OVO 40, which I feel like Pusha T had claimed, it was definitely from Ye. It was either one or the other. But a lot of these things, I just feel like, and Pusha T has alluded to this, that they were talking back and forth in between the battle with Drake and Dot and sent that verse, the Whips and Chains verse, in the middle of the beef. So Pusha T's also said that they were discussing. So I don't know if they're discussing strategy or if he's like, I caught that. What about this? I don't know. I don't know exactly what went on. We would never know. And the only interview that Kendrick did was the Rap Life interview with Nadeska and Ebro, to where they didn't really ask him a lot of questions about intelligence, researching, none of the things that went into just like the multi-layering. And what made this sting so much was how skilled it was from a rap level and how on the nose it was and how wrong we were about Kendrick. Or maybe how right, depending on who you are, how right you were about Kendrick. It depends. But we fell on completely opposite sides of the coin. The whole rap universe fell on opposite sides of the coin when it came to the whole Kendrick and Drake beef. And I think it's done irreversible damage. As my friend from the Rap Rankings podcast would say, Melvin Birch, this has done irreversible damage to the landscape of modern mainstream hip hop, at least. Maybe not from the purest standpoint of the underground or maybe the art form of it. Maybe you can probably argue what Dot did in the battle. It allowed space for the art form to return back to form. You let me know in the comment box down below.
Find the jewels like Cash Doll. I just need you to think. How many references to Drake's allies can we even find in this song? Off-White Son.
Not the cell laugh.
Secret at the marina. Fuck a phantom. I like to buy yachts when I get the fever. It has to be Lil Yachty, right? 100 niggas that you got on salary and 20 of them want you as a casualty and one of them is actually next to you. Wait. 21 Savage got something to do with this?
I don't think Savage got nothing to do with it. I just think that Casavelli's in his bag though. I just think that he's playing into the line where are these things lining up? We'll never know what it's aimed at and what it isn't. But even the lines that we did catch from the Dot, 616 in LA, Not Like Us, all those, they line up just well enough for us to understand the magnitude of it. And we understand that he left a creak in the door for only God to enter. Only God knows what the rest of these bars mean. And of course, Kendrick, but I feel like he tapped into a spiritual component that very few artists take it to. And I couldn't help but think about the Mos Def quote. You remember the Mos Def quote? That what happens when all of this buckles? What happens when it's so many skews? You know the clip, the Mos Def clip. If you don't, you should research it. But when he was asked about what he thinks about Drake's place in hip hop, or just like, he makes good stuff, but it's safe. What happens when this starts buckling, when the products start crumbling down, when all this start crumbling down? And it was weird. It was eerie foreshadowing of what was to come. I don't know. I'm a big energy universe type of guy. Maybe you're not, but I just think that all these things being a coincidence is funny. Just the timing of it is interesting.
These niggas got something to do with it?
And the biggest theory being that Kendrick named the song 616 in LA. OVO has a signed producer that goes by the name Mike Zombie, who has a song titled 616.
I think that was debunked, though. I don't think that was debunked that he wasn't the mole.
So it's kinda ironic when Kendrick subtly ends the song with, "Before you figure that you're not alone, ask what Mike would do." There's been a lot of Prince and Michael jabs throughout this beef at this point.
One hit away from Michael to beat it. And then, Prince outlived Mike, check, nigga, boom! So they was just going back and forth, and then he came out, and then he meaning Drake responded back like, "Oh, in Family Matters, maybe you are really Michael Jack or whatever." He's like, you know, talking about his kid and the features and the shades, which is really interesting. The kid talk is really, really fascinating on both fronts, because it's definitely a sore spot for Drake, being that he was exposed on the story of Adidon, which, come to find out, after the story of Adidon, UMG blocked Pusha T for a good 6 months of not releasing anything. No videos, the story of Adidon, no nothing. He was completely blocked. And I can't help but to think, if he was allowed to actually execute that plan, he called it surgical summer for a reason. But going back to just the kid talk back and forth, that because that Dot took it there and was warning him that I'm going to take it there, Drake in the new lawsuit is saying, I want information about Day Free and any information you have about your kids detailing from 2014. And at the very least, he wants to see, I have the proof. Where's your proof? Irreversible damage.
So the whole time we're just thinking, oh, you are not alone, the Michael Jackson song. But this also could have been a double entendre hinting at Mike Zombie. Hilarious.
Crazy, serious, spooky, hilarious. Crazy, serious, spooky, hilarious. Crazy.
Layers, man. Side note, I love how he addresses academics in such a
compromised,
casual way. Not even giving him too much shine, but just pointing out, hey, y'all see the 35-year-old cheerleader in his corner right there? Yeah, he compromised, and he just keeps it moving. Never
keeps it pushing.
Acknowledges him again. Fucking loser. I doubt that Kendrick would actually give Drake any intel about where he got his info from. But anywhere you can plant seeds of misinformation or doubt to disorganize the other side, if done masterfully, is a tactic worth pursuing. And finally, one of the most notable aspects of 616 is the obvious
glove
cover art, which displays a single black glove on top of what looks to be a piece of clothing. At the time, no one knew what this meant, but we found out that very same night that Kendrick
belonged to the belongings of his father. Or maybe it was, I know there was something prescribed to Drake in the form of, I let him talk. I said I was going to let him talk. My bad.
Kendrick was indeed not bullshitting about there being an OVO leak. Kendrick would reveal later that the cover art of 616 was just a piece of the larger puzzle, which came to be Meet the Grams, tying in as a direct sequel to 616 and dropping mere minutes after Drake's Family Matters as proof that he wasn't capping about a mole. One of the more intriguing things about the production of 616 is not only that it's partly produced by Jack Antoff, who was largely known for being Taylor Swift's producer.
Coming off the heels of Drake's Tailor Made. Brilliant.
A possible response to Drake's Tailor Made, in which he's weaponizing Taylor Swift against Dot, but it's the use of a particular bass synth that's typically associated with Drake, which is called a Reese bass. A lot of hip-hop fans have come to familiarize themselves with this bass through Drake's signature early production sound. It can be heard everywhere.
All I can say,
She look like a star.
With that bass, I'm gonna give Drake some credit on this, some bail, to keep it objective. You know, I don't hate Drake in any shape or form. I really don't. I know some Kendrick fans are gonna watch this and say you should have every reason to hate Drake. He's the antithesis. Did I say that word right? Of the purity of hip hop, and that was Kendrick Lamar's angle, to paint Drake as someone that is an enemy of our culture, an enemy of the state of hip hop, and why it is in a cannibalistic state right now, and it's eating itself alive. And if we don't do anything about it, it will eventually perish, and all the principles that we stand on, that we've built this culture on, will cease to exist if we let him continue to run this culture. I don't necessarily agree. All right. I think he's contributed immensely to this culture. I love Take Care. I love Nothing Was the Same. I love If You're Reading This Too Late, even with the allegations and the things that came out with the reference tracks, all that. The sound that he introduced or helped introduce into the mainstream was a breath of fresh air to me, Once again, I'll elaborate. Music is subjective. Music is very much subjective, and I never say that my opinion or my thoughts is a one size fit all, but I will say that both Dot and Drake have largely contributed to the progress of hip hop and of our culture, to be honest. I think that Drake opened the doors on just the range you can approach a record from, and different pockets you can approach it from a melodic level, and even some of the cadences that he plays with that are rap adjacent. You may not say he's the purest rapper, or he's whatever, he's not a lyricist. That's your opinion, right? If that's a stance you want to take, and that's cool. I'm not going to argue against you. But the things that he's been able to play with blur the lines of what was an artist and what was a rapper. And I felt like it gave a lot of artists the luxury to not be boxed in. And that equals to freedom. So I think Drake introduced a lot of freedom, at least the artists that I like. I like Bryson Tiller. I like Tory. I like all these melodic rappers that had, an opportunity to demonstrate their creativity on a different level. Kendrick did the same thing. I just think that it's a lot easier to adopt the Drake method than it is to adopt the Dot method. And you may say that is a difference in artistry. And if you would say that, I could see that. That's a good point. Because not too many people can do To Pimp a Butterfly. Not too many people can do Good Kid, Mad City. Hell, Good Kid, Mad City was released in 2012. It was a top 30 selling album of 2025. And Take Care was there too. But Damn was there. Good Kid, Mad City was there. Damn won a Pulitzer Prize. To Pimp a Butterfly received universal acclaim. Good Kid, Mad City was labeled as an instant classic maybe 3 weeks after the release, if that. I think that maybe you may think that while it is easier to adopt Drake's method, and maybe it's something that we can live without, there will never be another Drake, and there'll never be anybody that will duplicate that type of success and that type of really approach to songwriting. I feel the same way about Dot. I really feel like it's 1A, 1B. In hell with Cole, 1C, and you could swap it out depending on your taste. But it's definitely 1A, 1B with Dot and Drake. You can agree to disagree. It's up to you.
It's just so cunning because, as you can hear in 616, Kendrick uses the same Reese bass.
Survival. Somebody lied. Feels like somebody lied.
Possibly further connecting the theory that 616 is indeed Kendrick rapping from Drake's perspective. This is a cute attention to detail that you just don't find in a rap battle, man. 616 put on a spectacle that I never even fathomed would be something I'd hear inside a rap battle. I can only imagine how nerve-wracking this was for Drake to hear for the first time. Even though it's the least deadly diss, I think what I love most about 616 is that out of all of Kendrick's disses, this one is his most, I'm going to fuck with you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
I just don't think Drake took it as that. I don't think he took it as this was nerve-wracking, or he would have completely revamped releasing Family Matters like that. I really think how he wrote Family Matters, that this was the ace in the hole, like he's finished. Everybody who mentioned me in between Like That and in between the Metro Future double albums and, you know, Rocky and everybody like that. Everybody doesn't matter after this. I'm going to go on vacation. Rick Ross, everybody, I'm going to go on vacation. Don't never talk to me about this shit again. And then Meet the Grams happened because Dot was like, I've been waiting. Even Meet the Grams, Alchemist didn't even know he was going to do that. Like, and there's no telling how long he was sitting on that Alchemist beat. There's no telling. And I know that engineer that was engineering those records for Dot had to be on call. Like, they both got no sleep. No sleep at all. Day 30, no response from Kendrick Lamar.